1800s, the Mississippi River was the great highway of America, and the steamboat was its king. These floating palaces carried cotton, cargo, and colonists from New Orleans northward, opening the frontier and building cities like St. Louis. But the river held dangers that no engine could overcome. New Orleans, 1811. The city bustled with activity. Cotton bales, stacked high on the docks. Traders haggled over prices. And in the harbor, a new kind of ship smoked and hissed, ready to change everything. The steamboat New Orleans was about to make history. Steam power had revolutionized industry. Now it would revolutionize travel. Robert Fulton and Robert Livingston built the first practical steamboat. But navigating the Mississippi was a different challenge entirely. Snags, sandbars, and shifting currents awaited. The voyage upriver took 3 to 4 weeks against the current. Downriver, only days. Pilots had to know every bend, every sandbar, every snag. One mistake could doom a boat and its passengers. The river demanded respect. Aboard these floating cities, passengers found gambling halls, dining rooms, and dance floors. The wealthy traveled in luxury. The poor slept on deck. Immigrants headed west seeking land and opportunity. Runaway slaves sought freedom. The steamboat carried America's dreams and desperation. The river killed without mercy. Boiler explosions were common. Snags, sunken trees, ripped holes in hulls. Fire consumed wooden boats in minutes. Between 1811 and 1899, over 4,000 steamboats were destroyed on western rivers. Thousands died. Among the families who made this journey were the Bruss family, traveling from New Orleans toward the promise of St. Louis. Like thousands of others, they gambled their lives on the river's mercy. Their story represents the courage of ordinary people who colonized the American frontier. St. Louis grew from a fur trading post to a booming city. Steamboats made it the gateway to the West. By 1850, over 3,000 steamboats arrived annually. The city became wealthy, diverse, and wild. Saloons, churches, and businesses lined the levee. The steamboat transformed American commerce. Cotton from Louisiana plantations traveled north. Manufactured goods from eastern factories traveled south. Midwestern grain found markets downstream. The Mississippi became an economic artery, pumping wealth through the nation. But progress came at a cost. Native American tribes who had lived along the river for millennia were pushed west. Their lands became plantations and towns. The steamboat carried soldiers to enforce removal and settlers to claim stolen territory. Steamboats carried enslaved people too. The domestic slave trade moved human beings like cargo upriver. Families were torn apart. The boats that brought progress also carried the cruel machinery of slavery. America's prosperity was built on this contradiction. The worst disaster in American maritime history occurred not at sea, but on the Mississippi. In 1865, the steamboat Sultana exploded near Memphis. Over 1,800 died, mostly Union soldiers heading home after the Civil War. The tragedy was largely forgotten, overshadowed by Lincoln's assassination days earlier. Railroads eventually replaced steamboats. By 1900, the great riverboats were fading into memory, but their impact remained. They had opened the West, built cities, and connected a nation. The Mississippi steamboat era shaped the American story. What do we learn from the steamboat era? That progress brings both opportunity and exploitation. That frontiers are colonized through risk and sacrifice. that the same technology that builds wealth can destroy lives, and that rivers, like history, flow in directions we cannot always control. Today, steamboats cruise the Mississippi as tourist attractions. But beneath the calm waters, the river still flows. The snags still wait. And the ghosts of those who traveled before us still ride the currents, reminding us of how far we've come and at what cost. If this story of American history moved you, subscribe for more documentaries. Because understanding our past is the only way to navigate our future.